All right, everyone, it's the top of the hour, so we're going to get started with today's webinar about understanding Brightspace for parents for principals. My name is Sarah, and I'm a success coach here at D2L. I've been working with D2L for just over 2 years now, and I'm excited to share some about Brightspace for parents with you today. Just some housekeeping items before we get started. The Q&A is open for questions today. So I have my coworker Anita here to help field some of the questions while I'm presenting. And then at the end, we should have some time for some open Q&A, so you can look forward to that. Links will be shared in the chat. If there's a link we need to send you to answer a question, we'll send it in the chat so everyone can see it and click it. If you have additional questions, either that we don't get to or maybe about something else that you've seen in one of our webinars, you can contact us at successcoach@d2l.com. And the recording of today's session and the slide deck that I'm presenting from will be available on the Teaching and Learning website for your reference. So you can look forward to seeing that in a couple days. So our agenda for today, we're going to start by understanding some terms, as we always do. We'll talk about what Brightspace for Parents is and go into some of the background of the platform. We'll talk about the areas of Brightspace that feed into it. We'll do a little demo in the slides here. Then we'll end with talking about some considerations to make sure that the rollout of Brightspace for Parents is successful at your school or district. And then I'll leave you with a slide of resources. So just to start off understanding these terms, if you've been to other webinars, you've seen this slide many a time before, but D2L is the company. I'm employed by D2L, so is my team. Brightspace is our platform. So Brightspace is what students use and teachers, and then Brightspace for Parents is the parent platform, which we'll be talking about today. And then Brightspace Community is our online community that has a lot of great resources, chances to connect with other teachers and staff who are using D2L. So if you haven't checked out that space, I highly recommend it to you. So what is Brightspace for Parents? Well, Brightspace for Parents can best be thought of as a window into the classroom. So it gives parents and guardians insight into how their children are doing in school. So just some background, when the Brightspace for Parents team was doing research about what our parent solution should look like, they found that what parents wanted to know could be summarized in about 3 main questions. And those are, is my child okay? How are they doing? And how can I help? And then when they spoke to educators and teachers about parent engagement, the main challenge was that though they wanted to be communicating more with parents, they just didn't have the time. So with this in mind, the team realized that there was a solution to both of these needs, and that if educators were using a few key tools in Brightspace, they were able to meet the needs of parents and guardians without doing a lot of extra work. So those key tools are activity feed, portfolio, assignments, and grades. It's also important to note that parents only see their students' work, not the work of other students in the classroom. So everything remains secure and private, just as it should be. So this is what parents and guardians see when they first log into Brightspace for Parents. You'll notice that this is showing all children within the same school board in a single space. So this is a really good high-level way to see overdue work, for example, upcoming work, recent grades. You'll also see that there's a photo at the top of each student, and that's their most recent portfolio item that the teacher has decided to share with parents. So that can be a great way to start conversations at home, especially if that work remains in the classroom. So they're able to see it with that portfolio share. So when you click into a student, you can see this view, and there's multiple different widgets. So up at the top here, we have our work to do widget, and this is new. It combines the upcoming and past due dates. You may remember there used to be a banner at the top that was going over overdue work, but it's been combined here. And then there's recent grades, portfolio items, and then the latest activity feed posts. And this is a combination of all of the activity feed posts across different courses. So if there's a student in high school and they're in different courses, you'll be able to see the list of all the posts together here, and it tells you what teacher posted it to what course. So now we're going to go over what areas of Brightspace feed into these sections. This is really important for your educators to know before you deploy Brightspace for Parents at your school for multiple reasons. Well, Brightspace for Parents is only as powerful as the information in Brightspace itself. So it helps everyone keep up on due dates and really gives them clarification and knowledge into what it is that will be shared with parents. And also that there's no surprises as to what parents can see. So you can see the student name at the top there, that new work to do widget, the recent grades, the portfolio items, and the latest posts. So beginning with work to do, this will show any item with a due date coming up in the next 2 weeks, as well as any due date that's passed that the student hasn't submitted anything to yet. So we'll see this in the next slide, but parents can click view all work. They can select specific weeks. They can look ahead in the course. And this applies to assignments, quizzes, discussions, surveys, and checklists. So you can see here the teacher posts or they do their assignments, and then the guardian is able to see this here, this accumulation of all of that information. And then they can click into the assignment even further and see the instructions, see the grade if it's been marked, but that's also in recent grades. So then recent grades shows any grade item that's visible to students and parents. So if something's been marked, there's no way that the parent would be able to see it before the student. It has to be visible to both parent and student. And also if the grade item is associated with an activity like an assignment, the details for that activity will also be visible so they can see the completed rubric, they can see the instructions, the feedback that the teacher left for them, the final grade, of course. So that looks something like this. The teacher goes in, they mark their assignment, they use their rubric, there's a final score there, and then the guardian sees that in that recent grades tab. And then they can click in and see the rubric filled out so they can really see how that student got to that grade. And this is a newer view as well in the updated version of Brightspace for Parents, where you can filter easily across different courses and see grades in this simple way. Then there's the portfolio artifacts. So this is all portfolio artifacts that have been shared with parents or guardians. So this means when teachers are giving feedback, there's a toggle button that we'll see in the next slide as to whether or not they want that artifact shared with parents. So only the ones that have been enabled for that will be here. The parents and guardians can also see the reflection of the child on the portfolio artifact, any feedback that was left on the portfolio, and any curriculum expectations that were associated with that. So that's really neat. Again, this is that toggle that I was talking about. Parent sharing is either on or off, and then the guardian is able to go in, see that portfolio item, click into it. They can, if a student recorded some audio to go with that artifact, they'll be able to see that there. They're able to see those curriculum expectations that we talked about. They can see the teacher feedback. There is a spot in portfolio that teachers can write their own comments. Maybe it's something like submitted late or something like that, and that isn't able to be shared. So there is a spot that teachers can add a note that won't go to parents. So that's something to take note of. Again, this is a newer view where you can see all of the evidence across different subjects in one space. And finally, there's latest posts. So this is all of the activity feed posts from each class the child is enrolled in. So it's important to note that this is the activity feed posts, not the announcements. Some teachers use them interchangeably, but activity feed posts are for those quick reminders, and those are applicable to parents. As well, if a teacher has a post pinned, that means keeping it at the top of the course. It'll also be pinned in Brightspace for parents. So maybe if there's 2 pinned courses across 2 different classes, that will also be pinned at the top for parents to see. You also may remember that in activity feed, there's an option to have students comment on the post, and parents cannot see those comments left by learners because it may be comments by students who are not their own. So that's just a privacy reason. So they're not able to see that. So this is what the educator sees when they're creating that activity feed post. And then the guardian is able to see it in that same way. And then there's that whole kind of social media type feed of the posts. I'll also note that parents can't be going into the course and seeing the different items. So if a teacher has quick linked something or linked something in the activity feed, it will say that they don't have access to view that content. So that's something to keep in mind as well. So we're going to see it in action here in the slides, and I'm going to go over what it looks like for a parent to log in and how they might spend some of their time in the platform, set up reminders, and you'll see that soon. So this is what parents see when they first log into the platform. You can see that there's a spot for organizational announcements. So this can be a great spot for those reminders about PD days, special notices, field trips, whatever might be applicable at that level. And then the parents are to click Brightspace for Parents, and that will direct them to the next screen where they see this. And we saw this earlier today. So this is what they see when they first log in, because another piece of feedback was parents were overwhelmed with having to go to multiple different areas depending on the teacher, maybe multiple different class sites. But this allows everyone in the same board, as long as they're using Brightspace, to be together. And then when they click into a student, they see these widgets and everything is here. And those are the things that we have gone over. You'll notice at the top, there is a way that teacher or parents rather can set up notifications. So if they click on their name, they click those notifications, they're directed to this screen that reminds them of the Pulse app. So this is an app for students to help them keep up to date with deadlines and upcoming work. There's that chance to put in the email, and then there's a weekly overview that they can opt into. So this is just a once a week email summary of the work that the student has done. So it's not bombarding them every day with notifications on that, but it's something that they can have the chance to opt into. And I'd also want to highlight that we do have a parent-focused app coming soon. So to end off this, I want to talk about some key considerations for rollout, some of which we've already talked about, but really ensuring that teachers are prepared prior to rolling out Brightspace for parents. So going through those slides, making sure they know all of the components, communicate what areas are going to go into Brightspace for parents, because once a parent has been given access, once they've created an account, it can't be revoked. So everything's got to be ready to go before parents are directed to the platform. Again, we talked about this for activity feed. Parents can read the posts and access links, but they can't access the actual content of the course or see the comments. And you can see it shows that, sorry, you don't have access to this content. This one is pretty straightforward, but just that assignments have to have that due date and be completed and marked in Brightspace to be sure it is complete in Brightspace for parents. So maybe they submitted it a different way. It's important that it's marked as complete in Brightspace so that parents aren't alerted incorrectly. And then finally, once everything is ready to go, really communicate expectations with parents on what they can expect from the platform and how to get there. So maybe that looks like leaving a link on your website, sending out multiple email communications about what they can expect, where they can log in, how they're able to access that platform, and making sure that everything is ready to go for that. So here's some resources that I'll leave you with. And remember, when you have access to this slide deck closer to the end of the week, you'll be able to click on all of these links. There's some great resources for Brightspace for parents, especially if you want to know more of the technical side of it, how to actually deploy it. You'll be able to find all of that there. And I also want to highlight the rest of our August webinars. We're already halfway through August. You can see Tuesday, today, we've done our Brightspace for Parents one. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about building your class community in Brightspace. And so we look forward to you signing up for those, and we hope to see you there. And that's the end of our formal presentation today. So I welcome any questions you have. Anita, I'll ask if there's any questions that have come up in the Q&A, and we can address those now.
Okay.
So far we don't have any, but we'll hang tight and see if any come through. Oh, Sarah, we have a question coming in. Could you go over that slide about the Pulse app, if you don't mind? Just a reminder what it looks like.
Sure, that was just, yeah, let's go back here. That was just like a little overview. It's like a banner ad for the app, but yeah, the Pulse is for students. So as you might remember, the mobile experience for students is the same on any device. So like you can go into any browser, Safari, Chrome, and access Brightspace. But then the Pulse app is good for actually giving like phone notifications, because if you just open up Brightspace in your browser, it won't be able to do that. So it reminds you with notifications. It also allows you to download content onto your phone. So that might be something that's focused on older learners. I certainly know that you know, higher age groups, I guess, are using the Pulse app, but that's a little bit more about that. Is that helpful? We have lots of other resources that maybe we can pull up here and send in the chat about the Pulse app as well.
Yep, she said, thank you so much.
All good. I'll probably, you know what, maybe in the resources slide, I'll toss in a page about Pulse app. A reminder to do that.
We have another question coming in. As a teacher, I would like to know if teachers can read the feedback, such as sticky notes and overall feedback in assignments that are published for a student, or do parents only give the overall mark?
That's a good question. So like feedback, like sticky notes and annotations. I'm actually not sure.
Yes, that's what she said.
Like, yeah, certainly the teacher I know can download the assignment with the annotations. I'm not so sure about the annotations, but every other piece of feedback like rubric, where was that in my slides? That was here somewhere. It does show like, yeah, so like, for example, this is how the teacher or the parent rather would view that filled out rubric. any instructions, some feedback there. But annotations, that's a good question. Yeah, parents can see this. So this is just showing the teacher and how they view their marking. And then this is the guardian sees. And then if we look up here, this is also what guardians and parents can see when they like click on that grade. So yeah, they're able to see this, but that's a good question about annotations. I'm not so sure. Any other questions, folks? I know we've captured a couple from some various participants.
We have another one. Someone is asking, is it possible for teacher to have a fake parent account activated for them so they are able to help parents navigate the system?
I know that teachers can view items as students. I'm not sure if they're able to view. I've seen the view as parent button before, but I can't remember where that is. I don't know, Anita, if you remember, but.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the way I would approach it is I would just take screen captures to possibly help them. Oh, it looks like we just got a response that they took away view as a parent function.
I see. Well, yeah. So that is that. But then also I would say like sending resources, because it is like, it's tied to the student information system, making sure that the parent and student relationships are correct. So I would say the most effective way would be to understand what components of the platform are going into Brightspace for parents. And then, yeah, sending different resources. So I'll see if there's a good parent-facing resource, and I can add that into the slides as well.
Yeah, just as a reminder, as Sarah's adding information to the slides, the slide deck will be shared out to you. So any questions that you've had that we haven't been able to answer live, Sarah will be able to just put that into the slide deck and you'll have access to that within about 24 to 48 hours.
Yeah, Amy, you can definitely take screenshots from the presentation. You'll be able to download these slides. So that could be a good way to do that for sure. There also might be some videos that are useful just depending on the medium that you want to communicate with them with. But I know on our Brightspace tutorials YouTube channel, there's some videos there as well.
We have some new folks who've just joined. So if you have any questions about Brightspace for parents, we'll do our best to answer them and can definitely point you in the right direction.
I'm going to stop sharing so that I can navigate back to my the end of my slide deck. Because if there's any other questions that folks have, you're more than welcome to send our whole team an email at, let me pull up the slide again. Yes, at our Success Coach email. So that's successcoach@d2l.com. So that's a great way to answer or ask any questions to our team that does the webinars here. All right, I think questions have slowed down, so we may end it at this time. But yeah, make sure to come back to the website that you used to register for this webinar. We have a bunch more coming up in August and look forward to a new September schedule. And yeah, thanks so much everyone for joining.